Mac Games and Comics. Check them out on Facebook and visit their site at merrymacgames.com.
What's up, YouTube? Evan from Epic Duel Time here. So, I was under the impression that this was pretty common knowledge stuff, and from what I'm getting, and I've seen this more than once, and more than just in this week's Duel video, where I pointed out pretty blatantly, I really thought this was something everyone had a pretty strong grasp of, and they don't, so I want to really emphasize this. Everything that I'm going to say in this video is entirely true. 100%. This isn't even like argued, it's not even like up for debate. These are facts. If you don't know this, well, now you will. And if you already do, I apologize to you, because I thought this was really common stuff too. As a player in any card game, you do have an obligation, if you want to play it somewhat competitively or not at all, to know the rules and to know the game mechanics and how game mechanics function within a moving card game. And to sit there and argue that this isn't how this works, it's naive. And there's really no excuse for it, because these mechanics have been pretty well solidified over the past year and a half, 2 years, where we've really come up to an understanding as we've seen this. And the topic is effect negation. Negating cards. The 4 cards I'm going to talk about are Veiler, Breakthrough Skill, Fiendish Chain, and Skill Drain. These 4 cards are not the same card. For the last time, these are all different cards. Now, 2 of them are similar, and another 2 are similar. But the 4 are all different. And to say that things like Fiendish and Veiler are related is a terrible, terrible misunderstanding. They all act differently, and a couple of them act similarly, but they are not the same. You cannot use these cards interchangeably. If you want an example on rulings, fine, but you need to use the right example. I'm going to talk about the first 2. Fiendish Chain and Skill Drain. These are alike. Fiendish Chain and Skill Drain require to negate a monster's effect. It requires that monster to be face up at all times. Regardless of what's going on, it has to be face up, beginning and resolution of effect. If the card, for whatever reason, were to leave the field during its effect, Fiendish Chain and Skill Drain do not work on it. If I summon Tour Guide, and you negate it with either of these, and I can bounce Tour Guide back to my hand with Compulse, I will still get my summon. If a monster, for whatever reason, leaves the field during these cards, they do not work on them anymore. So, here's an example. I really broke this down. So, here's our playing field, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and say my opponent has a back row. I normal summon a Rescue Rabbit. And they're going to respond to his summon, as they can, with either a Fiendish Chain or a Skill Drain. It does not matter what they use, it will not work. Because all I'm going to do is activate Rabbit's effect, banish it, and I can resolve his effect 100%. It will not work. The reason it does not work is because Fiendish Chain and Skill Drain specify face-up monsters. I'll even go back to their card text, just to go over this. These are the updated texts of these cards. Fiendish Chain. Target 1 face-up effect monster on the field. Skill Drain. The effects of all face-up monsters on the field. Face-up monster on the field. They have to be on the field and face-up. And if that would change, for whatever reason, during the resolution of that monster's effect, these cards no longer work. At all. So one more time. Fiendish Chain and Skill Drain do not work on Rescue Rabbit. They don't work on Carding. They don't work on Lone Fire Blossom. If a monster would leave the field, or not be face up, it will resolve completely under Skill Drain or Fiendish Chain. So when you guys saw in this week's Duel video that like a Fiendish Chain was used on a card car, and he felt and the Constellar player needed to bounce the Fiendish Chain off of it using Pleiades, that was completely unnecessary. It doesn't need to happen, because card car could have activated and resolved perfectly. Next, Veiler and Breakthrough Skill. These can negate those monsters. Veiler. During your opponent's main phase, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard to target one face-up effect monster your opponent controls. Negate that target's effect until the end phase. During activation of Veiler, the card has to be face-up, but it's the second part of its effect, where it resolves, negate that target. Veiler will cling on to that monster so long as its effect activates that would activate on the field. So, if you Veiler Rescue Rabbit can still banish itself to activate the effect, it just won't resolve. If you use Effect Veiler on Sangam will activate in Graveyard. I know I'm using a banned card here, because Veiler can't control anything that activates in Grave. Once it's in Grave, Veiler has nothing to do with it anymore. The same does apply to Breakthrough Skill. Target one face-up effect monster your opponent controls. Then we have that semicolon. Negate the effects of that opponent's face-up monster until the end of the turn. Negate the effects of that opponent's monster. Then Breakthrough Skill goes to the graveyard. Remember, Breakthrough Skill negates one time. It negates all the face-up monster effects. Skill Drain and Fiendish Chain need to be up the whole time to resolve, and to keep that monster in check. So if something gets out from them, they don't have anything to do with it anymore. If you were to compare them, Veiler and Breakthrough Skill are alike, in the sense that they can negate a monster's effect, even if that monster were to activate and on field, but leave the field. So, here's a little scenario. My opponent has a face-down card, and I normal summon card A. They can Breakthrough Skill, or they can Effect Veiler, and it will work. I can send card A to the graveyard, I just won't be able to draw 2 cards. Now, here's another fun example. How to avoid these things like Veiler, Breakthrough Skill. If I normal summon Torguide, and they go to Effect Veiler, I can chain Book of Moon. Remember that Torguide's effect acted as the Chain Link 1, Veiler is going to act as Chain Link 2, and Book of Moon's now Chain Link 3. When we resolve this chain, Book of Moon's going to turn Torguide face down, Veiler's going to try to negate something, and unfortunately, there's nothing left to negate because it only negates face-up monsters, and Torguide still has to resolve its effect, so it's going to summon a monster from a level 3 Fiend. From the deck. Or hand. That's how these cards work, guys. I thought this was pretty elementary stuff. Maybe it's not, and I'm just over-assuming. I want you guys to know this stuff because I feel there's a sense of obligation that this has to be discussed. I know this has been discussed 90,000 times, but even though there was an Epic Duel Time video where they were trying to Fiendish Chain the card car and stuff, I want you guys to know that that's not how that works at all, and that there was no reason to be even trying to protect card car like that, and that's not how these cards work. And that's important to know, because at any given event, this is stuff that's going to be expected of you to know. I think this stuff's pretty basic. Effect negation is a part of this game. It has been like this for a little while now. It's definitely grown more and more relevant as effect monsters have become more and more relevant. I'll be around in the comments of this video if people have questions or any inquiries about effect negation, certain interactions. I will try to respond to as much of it as I can. I generally get pretty busy, so I try to respond as much as I can on videos, but I'll definitely keep my eye out on the comments of this video if you guys have any questions. This is how it works. This video is 100% factual, I assure you. I promise you this. This is how it works. This is effect negation. There isn't any other argument than this. This is the exact one. This is the Konami proven everything. There's no other answer than this answer in terms of what Fiendish Chain, Skill Drain, Veiler, and Breakthrough all do. There are other cards like these out there. I know it. Things like Shadow, Imprisoning Mirror, and stuff. Read the cards, guys. Find the most updated text to them and read the cards. Read them aloud and apply them. Look for what activates on what works on activation, and then when the card resolves. And I think you guys will really see and start being able to read these cards for what they do, and not just read them, have an idea, and then ask questions later. As always, like, comment, subscribe, and keep dueling, America.